Joining us now is Alfonso Aguilar, president of the Latino Partnership for Conservative Principles and the former head of the U.S. Office for Citizenship. Thank you for being here, Alfonso.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Well, we're going to get to Mollie Tibbets in just a moment, but first, if I may ask you, no matter how often or how many politicians say it, we still have a broken immigration system. Where and why is there a breakdown?
Well, frankly, I don't think we have a legal way for foreign workers to come, or a legal way that works for foreign workers to come in the country. The foreign workers that we actually need. So, since we don't have it, they enter illegally into the country. That's why we have such a huge community of undocumented immigrants. The majority of immigrants don't want to stay here. They like to come, work, and then go back to their home country. But they end up staying here because if they were to go back, they would have to re-enter illegally. So that's the main problem that we have. Frankly, Congress it has shown an inability to deal with the issue, to find consensus. And frankly, the only way to resolve this problem is by forging a bipartisan consensus. Republicans and Democrats need to talk to each other. I was critical of Republicans when they weren't willing to talk to Democrats several years ago. But this time around, I thought the president and the Republican leadership was trying to have an open conversation about immigration, and Democrats just didn't show up. They wanted to do their own thing, talking to just a few Republicans who were really not representative of the broader Republican delegation and were not able to sway the rest of the Republican delegation. So they were really not willing to have a conversation with the Republican leadership and try to get something done. It's a very difficult issue, but we have to find a way to bring Republicans and Democrats together.
Alfonso, speaking of the president, you're aware that some suggest that he's been politicizing the case of Mollie Tibbets. Now, you promote conservative values among Latinos, so most of the time you're in the same column with the president in the policies. Why do you think he and others like him are wrong to use Mollie Tibbets' case to highlight the broken immigration system?
And that's a good point. You know, these days there's no room for nuance in Washington, right? So they expect you to on immigration to either be for open borders or to want to build the wall and deport every undocumented immigrant, which is ridiculous. I think with the president, what he's doing that I think is wrong is to generalize and give the impression that the majority of undocumented immigrants are criminals. He just recently said that what's coming across the border, the immigrants that are coming across the southern border are the majority are criminals and commit serious crimes, and that's just not the truth. Statistics show, government statistics show, that the majority of immigrants and undocumented immigrants are good, hardworking people, and they commit fewer crimes than the general population. So the Mollie Tibbets murder is a tragedy.
Sure.
We have her family in our prayers, but we shouldn't use that to create this false perception, because it helps to divide the country even more, to make the issue more toxic, and to polarize the issue. So,
and it certainly does not help to solve the immigration problem.
No, not at all. But it helps him, sadly, politically, because there are some people that sadly don't want to see immigration reform, and when the president talks about the immigration in such a way, they get enthused, energized politically, and with an election coming in November, if the president focuses on this issue, they may respond and show up and vote Republican.
Alfonso Aguilar, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.